guys. I'm out in New York.
Good evening, and welcome to the July 21st, 2026 Board of Adjustment meeting. Just a couple of things before we get started. We have 5 members tonight. Reason for that is one of our members, Paul Mannell, has resigned. He has moved to Somersworth, so he's no longer a Portsmouth resident. So I just want to convey our thanks for his service. So we look forward to whoever the mayor chooses to replace him. So with that, we just want to announce that the following applications have been postponed to the August 18th meeting at the request of the applicant, and they are Old Business, Item 2B, 315 Banfield Road, and New Business, Item 2B, 292 Wybird Street. Those applications will be postponed until August 18th. So I need a motion we have a number of postponement requests tonight because we're a short board, but I would like a motion first to suspend the rules for application 2A Old Business.
Make a motion to suspend the rules.
Okay,
Seconded.
all in favor?
Aye.
And we will need a motion to accept the withdrawal request. I will read the applications into the record. And it is request to withdraw the request of Lonza Biologics Incorporated, owner, for property located at 34 Harvest Way, whereas relief is needed to install 2 illuminated wall signs and 1 illuminated monument sign, which requires relief from the following. 1, Section 306.01D of the Pease Development Authority Ordinance to allow signs to exceed a maximum aggregate area of 2 square feet of sign area for each linear foot of street frontage up to a maximum of 200 square feet. Said property is located on Assessor Map 305, Lot 5, and lies within the Airport Business Commercial District. I would need a motion to accept the withdrawal request.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, first, Mr. Rossi, and second, I'll give it to Bob Sullivan. All in favor?
Oh, I actually,
Oh,
is
discussion.
possible to have some discussion?
Sure.
Yeah, did I miss it? Was there something added after our application came out? Okay, we do have, yeah. I'm looking to see, the staff package said that there would be, the applicant has indicated they will be submitting a request for the board to consider suspending the rules to allow the applicant to withdraw the application. Did we ever actually receive something from the
We
applicant?
did. It
Through the
should be,
portal.
within all the information that was put out at your place tonight. It came in
Oh,
late yesterday.
so it's in physical hard form
It is in hard copy
existence?
form.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so with that clarification, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oh, I'm still looking for my piece of paper, but sure.
Okay. So I will need another motion to suspend the rules, to take some items out of order. Could I please have a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and I will need a motion, okay, so we will need a motion to postpone to the August 18th meeting the following applications: Old Business Item C and New Business Items D and E. And the reason for that is that these requests to postpone were received within 24 hours of the meeting. And so we will need to vote on them, to postpone them to the August 18th meeting. Obviously, we're a short board tonight. People were apprised of that, and they've decided to postpone.
Read them into the record.
Okay, so I will just take them and read them into the record. They are New Business Items, Old Business Item C, which is the request of Madison Commercial Group owner for property located at 72 Marona Road, whereas relief is needed to establish a 5,049 square foot Pilates exercise studio, which requires the following. 1, a special exception from 10.440 use number 4.42 to allow a 5,049 square foot health club, yoga studio, or similar use where more than 2,000 square feet are allowed by special exception. Said property is located on Assessor Map 253, Lot 3, and lies within the Gateway Center G2 district. I'll need a motion to postpone that to the August 18th meeting.
I move to postpone item C, old business, to the August 18th meeting.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Sullivan, any discussion on the motion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next item to postpone to the August 18th meeting is item new business, yes, new business D, which is the following.
A would be first.
Oh, I'm sorry, A. I'm getting this A confused, okay. New business A, request of Brian and Martha Rattay, owners, for property located at 475 Broad Street, whereas relief is needed to construct a detached garage which requires the following. A variance from section 10.521 to A, allow 30% building coverage where 25% is allowed. B, a 5-foot right side yard where 10 feet are required. And C, 5.5-foot rear yard where 14 feet are required. Said property is located on Assessor Map 221, Lot 96, and lies within the General Residence A District. I need a motion to postpone this application to the 18th of August.
I
Make a
move to
motion to postpone item 3A to the August 18th meeting.
Okay, any second?
Second.
Mr. Rossi is the second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. The next item to take out of, to address the postponement concern request is item 3D, the request of Michael J. Farelli, owner, for a property located at 0 Joffrey Avenue and 18 Barberry Lane, whereas relief is needed to construct a single-family home on a vacant lot, which requires the following: a variance from section 10.521 to allow 0 feet of street frontage where 100 feet is required. B, allow for 12,185 square feet of lot area where 15,000 square feet is required. C, allow for 12,185 square feet of lot area per dwelling where 15,000 square feet is required. And 2, a variance from section 10.1114.31 to allow for 2 driveways on a single lot where 1 is permitted. Said properties are located on Assessor Map 233, lots 135 and 131, and lie within the Single Residence B District. I'll need a motion to postpone this to the August 18th meeting.
So moved.
Mr. Rossi is the first. Who's the second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that matter is postponed to August 18th. Our last request for postponement is a request to postpone the request of Caitlin O. and Brendan A. West, owners, for property located at 315 Bartlett Street, whereas relief is needed to demolish the existing home and construct a new home on the lot, which requires the following: 1, a variance from section 10.521 to allow a 9.5-foot left side yard where 10 feet is required. B, a 7-foot right side yard where 10 feet is required. And C, a 60 feet of street frontage where 100 feet is required. Said property is located on Assessor Map 162, Lot 12, and lies within the General Residence A District. Do I have a motion to postpone this to the August 18th meeting?
I'm sure I make a motion to postpone item 3E to the August 18th meeting.
Second,
Second.
Mr. Rossi. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. So that leaves, is there a question, Mr. Raymond?
Go ahead.
Okay. So that actually leaves just 2 items of business on tonight's docket. We just have the meeting minutes and 1 application.
So before I move that, I would just, for the record, like to say that withdrawal motion, can it just be read, indicated that I abstained on that? I still have yet to find anything in my packet regarding the reason for that. So if I could just be listed as abstain, I don't think it matters, because
Okay.
you had your 4 votes.
All right.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Sullivan.
Excuse me, Chair. Before you begin on the application of Jane Schaus, I'd like to beg your indulgence to address the board.
Oh, sure. Let's just do the meeting minutes first, if we could, because that's really the first item of business. And then we'll move on to Ms. Schaus's application. So I'll need the approval of the June 16, 2026 meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion for that?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the minutes for the June 16th meeting. I do have a couple of corrections to add once, if there's a second.
Okay,
Second.
And Mr. Nees, your corrections, Mr. Rayam?
Yes, if I can find them. Apologize. Here we go. They're very lengthy minutes for the record. So page 8 of the minutes, page 11 of our packet. In the middle of the page, discussion of the board, right around the middle of that rather lengthy paragraph, it goes, he said that it was already an intensively used property and in the middle of a very residential area and was not an allowed use in all the nearby zones. I would like to change that to, and in the middle of a very residential area and an office use was not an allowed use in all the nearby zones. So just wanted to emphasize that. In fact, what the applicant was asking for, I don't think was allowed in any zone, but an office use in particular was not allowed. And then much later on in our lengthy minutes, and again, very detailed. Yes, page 19 of the minutes, page 22 of our packet. Most of that page is one giant paragraph, but about a third of the way down said giant paragraph. There's a line that says, he said a freestanding sign could be up to 20 feet higher, which was taller than what the applicant proposed. That should be high, not higher, as in you can't be 20 feet higher than what the applicant was proposing, but it could be up to 20 feet high. Those are my two corrections. Thank you.
Okay. Any other corrections by the board? Okay. Seeing none, the motion is to approve the June 16th meeting minutes with those two corrections by Mr. Rayam. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And I also. So those are approved. The next application is, and the only application that we will be hearing tonight, I am anticipating that Mr. Sullivan will be recusing. Therefore, there will only be...
That's the point I want to address.
Okay.
May I now?
Yes.
When this agenda first came out and I read that there was an application from Jane Schaus tonight, I called the planning department and indicated that I plan to recuse myself. And the reason for the recusal is that I am a former co-worker of Ms. Schaus when she worked in the planning department here. I was at that time and am now friendly with her. And I thought to avoid even the appearance of impropriety on a quasi-judicial board that I should recuse myself. At the time that I said that, however, I assumed that the alternate would be available and I had no way of knowing about Mr. Mantle, so that I assumed they would still get a full board to hear the case. Under the circumstances we're in right now, they would be rather severely penalized, I think, by my recusal. Accordingly, I'm going to make a request of the full board, which is this. In conflict of interest situations, which this is, perhaps, RSA 673:14 Roman 2 reads that when uncertainty arises as to the application of paragraph 1, the paragraph that requires recusal, the board shall, upon the request of that member, the member who has a question, vote on the question of whether that member should be disqualified. It's an advisory vote of the board, but I would say now that I'm going to make that request I just talked about. I will tell the board this, even though Ms. Schaus is I would consider a friend of mine and definitely a co-worker of mine. I would have no difficulty voting to deny her request if she failed to meet criteria. Nonetheless, what I'm asking the board is whether or not any member of the board feels it would be inappropriate for me to vote on Shouse request, and if there is a single member of the board who votes that it would be inappropriate, I will continue to recuse myself. Otherwise, I will hear the case.
Okay. So I think with that, thank you, Mr. Sullivan. I'm not going to start the conversation. Does any member of the board, based on Mr. Sullivan's representations, believe that he should be disqualified from sitting in and deciding on this application? Or do they have any questions of Mr. Sullivan? Mr. Neese?
Yeah, I've got a question. When you said you worked with the applicant, was this in your role as city attorney and her role in the planning department, or was it a more close working relationship than that?
It was my role as city attorney and her role in the planning department. She did not work directly for me. However, I did speak with her virtually every day.
And what was her position in the planning department? I'm not familiar with it.
I don't know of her exact title. She sat at the front desk.
Administrator?
She was the administrator. She was not a planning officer or
Not a planner, no.
not a planner? Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Ram?
I don't have a question. I was looking to make a comment, if that's permitted.
Of course.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, these situations, I mean, Ms. Strauss is not known to me as well. I knew her husband also for a number of years. It is one of the things that we have in our community. I mean, there are personalities who are well known to many people. I always kind of, one of my guides is if we were truly 100% impartial, we would be hearing the cases from the city of Keene, and the city of Keene would be hearing the cases from the city of Portsmouth, right? I mean, that would be the best way that we could be 100% impartial. I mean, I do think that the law is set up, and the intent is that you remain as impartial as possible. However, it is expected that, you are a member of the community, you know people in the community, you interact with members of the community, the businesses in the community. It's tough to be 100% impartial. That said, and I think it's a gut check for the individual, if the application is such that it does not meet the criteria, can you honestly do it? So I would be willing to accept the Member Sullivan's testimony that he could do that. I just think it would be difficult to have a completely, with the number of members that we have now, finding some way of hearing this case without that threshold. And it certainly is the applicant's risk that with the 5 members sitting here, that they are willing to go forward. So,
Mr. Rosa, do you have anything to add?
I think that as a general principle, merely knowing someone and a past working relationship should not be a grounds for disqualification based on a potential lack of impartiality. I think if there was any kind of a financial encumbrance between the two individuals, that Mr. Sullivan would have disclosed that, which he has not. So on that basis, I would say that I see no problem. Otherwise, none of us will ever get a variance ever in our lifetimes.
So I will say that I have no problems with Mr. Sullivan sitting in on the application. I think he possesses the requisite degree of heartlessness in his comments. But no, in all seriousness, it's whether or not one is able to remain indifferent to the application. I do think that there is conflicts if there's official positions. Mr. Sullivan and Ms. Shouse no longer work for the city. I think Ms. Shouse has not worked for the city for a very long time. And I think also that, I think an attorney does have a little bit, is able to also sort of really remove oneself from these situations. I myself have have sat on applications for people that I know, and I have approved some and I have denied some. And that's always fun when you go back out into the community when you deny them. But I don't think that, I think based on Mr. Sullivan's representations, I don't believe there's any reason for him to recuse himself from this application.
In that case, the Madam Chair, and what I take to be the permission of the board and yourself, I'll be sitting on both cases tonight.
Okay. Well, we actually only have one case.
One.
So, okay, with that, thank you, Mr. Sullivan. That's a very good exercise for the board. So we will now proceed to the one and only application we have for the evening, and that is Roman numeral 3, new business C, the request of Jane M. Strauss, Revocable Trust owner for property located at 555 Dennett Street, whereas relief is needed to demolish the existing detached garage and construct a new rear addition, which requires the following. 1, a variance from section 10.521 to allow a building coverage of 27%, where 25% is the maximum allowed. Said property is located on Assessor Map 161, Lot 39, and lies within the General Residence A District. And who is here to speak to this application?
Thank you very much for that discussion. That does clear the air for me as well. My name is Jane Schaus. I live at 555 Dennett Street. My husband passed away in 2019, so I currently live and maintain the house all by myself. My contractor, Kevin Folger, is with me, so if you have any questions after my presentation, he is here for that. I'm before you this evening for approval to construct a new rear addition, which requires a variance to allow a building coverage of 27%, where 25% is the maximum allowed. At the same time, but under a separate permit, my abutter and I plan to demolish our garage. Our property line goes right down the middle of the long driveway and right down the middle of the garage. My husband and I said we would tear that down as soon as we moved into the house in 1985, and it's still there because of the two property ownership. The building's very old and it needs to come down. The demo permit has been filed and it's currently under review by the inspection department. To give you a little history, my husband and I bought our house in 1985 for $68,000. Wasn't much of a house, but houses were flying off the market at that time, and it fit into our budget. I was also 6 months pregnant and was determined to be moved into a house by the time my son was born. We called it our starter house and figured we could move into a bigger and nicer house in a year or two. It was a well-built house with all the original woodwork. We soon realized that the new Franklin Elementary School was just one house away, and how convenient would that be when our son went to school? The house is less than a mile from downtown Portsmouth, so it was very walkable. It's only a few houses from the Portsmouth traffic circle, which back then was more important because it brought us to the Newington Mall, Portland, Maine, and Boston. So we decided to stay in our little house. And probably over the next 20 years, we removed the very ugly aluminum siding. We placed it with very attractive vinyl. We blew insulation into the entire house. We replaced all of the windows and storm doors, and we put shutters on all of the windows. We gutted the kitchen, completely renovated it. We repaved the driveway, which was in severe disrepair. We put on a new roof. We professionally removed the asbestos in the basement. We rebuilt the front porch. We rebuilt the back porch. We laid a brick walkway in the front. In 1994, we added a 2-room addition to the left side of the house for a TV room and an office for my husband, and then a second-floor sewing room for myself. We had turned it into a beautiful house that we're proud of, and it served us well. I am now without a bathroom on the first floor, and that causes me a lot of problems as I have had several spinal surgeries recently. Also, my washer and dryer are in the basement, which is an equally difficult problem for me. In order to continue to live in my house, I need to make plans for the future. Stairs are becoming my enemy. I am hoping to replace the footprint of my back deck with this new addition, which will be my bathroom/laundry room. Eventually, if I'm able to stay in this house, I probably won't be able to go up and down the stairs, so I can convert a first-floor room into a bedroom, and I can now live on the first floor. I will address the criteria. If I can find it. So the variance is not contrary to the public interest. This variance is not contrary to the public interest and does not alter the essential character of the neighborhood, threaten public health, safety or welfare, or otherwise injure public rights. This addition would allow the homeowner the ability to remain in my house and to have a first-floor bathroom. The additional building coverage is in the rear of the property and cannot be seen from the street. The spirit of the ordinance is observed. It is understood why the city has setback requirements, but this is a small renovation which will not impact the abutters. It will not impact light or the circulation of air. It will still allow for substantial side setbacks for the abutters. Substantial justice is done. The benefit to the applicant is not outweighed by harm to the general public or other individuals. The benefit to the applicant is essential to her being able to remain in her house for many years. There is no harm to the general public. The value of surrounding properties are not diminished. The value of surrounding properties are not diminished, and in fact, will be increased by this addition. Literal enforcement of the ordinance would result in unnecessary hardship. The restriction as applied to the property does not serve that purpose as a fair and substantial way. Literal enforcement of the ordinance would result in the denial of a first-floor bathroom and the applicant owner being forced to sell her house and move to a more expensive and much smaller residence. Also, this lot is smaller than most of the lots in her neighborhood. So it is one of the smaller lots in the neighborhood, and a hardship is created as adding additional building coverage is difficult within the setbacks. Not allowing the applicant to construct a first-floor bathroom creates an unreasonable hardship to the applicant. The hardship uniqueness of the lot in relation to how everyone else is using their lots is not unreasonable. Anyone who lives here would want the ability to receive building coverage relief and have the modern conveniences of most houses. The proposed use is a reasonable one. I love my house. I love my neighborhood. I love my neighbors. I've been there for 41 years, and the thought of having to move out is just frightening. We've put a lot of money into the house. It's ours now. It's mine now. Bob lives there in spirit. And so I would like to be able to stay there. And like I said, with my health problems, it's essential I get a first-floor bathroom. I have my contractor, unless you have questions for me first.
Are there any questions for the applicant herself? Mr. Nees?
Yeah, I have one question. Well, let me explain why I'm asking it first. You're adding an addition onto the back of the house, but you're also eliminating a garage. And as a result, the building coverage is actually declining. It's going from 32% to 27%. So you're making the property more conforming with the zoning. But that all hinges on demolishing the garage.
Correct.
And I guess I'm a little confused on ownership of the garage. Is it jointly owned by you and your neighbor?
I own the half on my property, and he owns the half on his property.
So when the demolition permit was submitted, was a document submitted with both your signatures? Is that how that
Yes.
worked? And that's currently being reviewed by the inspection department?
It is. I submitted the application with an explanation of that, and my abutter wrote a letter and signed it indicating he was in agreement and had no objection and wanted to be added to the permit.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, seeing none. I don't know if your contractor, are there any questions for the contractor? No? Okay. All right, thank you very much. All right, so with that, I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of this application? Nobody's online?
Nobody's online.
Okay. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the application? Is there anyone who would like to speak to, for, or against? Okay, all right.
My name is Kevin Folger, and my company is Folger and Adams Building. We're out of Rollinsford, New Hampshire. I've done several additions on her street. I also did a remodel for her back when Bob was still alive, and you know that the rise on that stairs is like a 9-pitch. It's old school building, you know what I mean? When the rise now is 7 3/4 is the max. It's very difficult. It's straight up. It's difficult to get up there. I don't even know how she does it because I did a remodel on the upstairs a few years ago. Can't remember when. But you know, Bob was always like, I want to do this for my wife because I want her, you know, if anything happens to me, she can stay here for the rest of her life, you know. So I remember him saying that to me all the time. So we made a sewing room up there for her so she could sew when she came home from work. And so they're good people. You know, it backs up to the Route 1. There's a gas station behind it. You really can't even see the lot. The garage itself, if it doesn't get demoed, it's going to fall in the next few years. It's that bad. It's just got a dirt cellar in it, so we want to knock that. Paul from Code wants to check to make sure there's no asbestos in there, but I've already done an inspection, but he'll do an inspection on that. And I don't see any issues there, so just want to bring that up.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Is there anyone who would like to speak to, for, or against? No one still is online. So with that, I will close the public hearing and ask the board for its thoughts, deliberation, a motion.
Tom had his hand up first.
Mr. Neese?
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to grant the variance for the application as presented and advertised.
Okay.
Seconded.
Okay. All right.
I'd like to open with just a general comment. While there is an addition being added onto the back of the house by eliminating the garage, it's actually making the lot more conforming with the ordinance. I'll address that under the spirit of the ordinance as well. So that lot coverage actually goes down with the demolition of the garage, even though this addition is being added. Granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest. There's no indication this will affect the health, safety, or welfare of the neighborhood. No effect on light and air. Does not alter the essential characteristics of the neighborhood, which is a residential area. If you look at the property, on one side there's a large space before the neighbor's house. On the other side there's at least a driveway there's 2 driveways between the structures, which is why I don't think it'll have any effect on the light and air. This structure is actually smaller in the back than the remainder of the house. Granting the variance would observe the spirit of the ordinance. Normally we consider these first 2 together and I wouldn't add anything to it, but I want to point out that one of the items in our ordinance is to try for lots that are non-conforming because they were established and built before the ordinance, the goal is to try and get them more compliant, which this does by reducing the building coverage by something like 5%, yeah, if I did my math right. Granting the variance would do substantial justice. There's no benefit to the public that I can see by denial that would outweigh loss to the applicant. As pointed out, if this application is denied, it's not clear that the applicant will be able to continue to live in the house, and it would have to be a pretty strong benefit to the public to outweigh that. Granting the variance would not diminish the values of surrounding properties. No evidence has been presented that it would. It's difficult to see how demolishing a decrepit, about to fall down garage would somehow hurt the value of surrounding properties, even with the small addition that's being added on the back. Moving on to the final criteria, literal enforcement would result in unnecessary hardship. This property does have some special conditions. Some of them are visible from the street, others are not. First off, the lot is undersized for the zone, which makes it difficult to add anything onto it without bumping up against the building coverage requirements. It has an old garage which will be demolished, which unusually straddles the property line and is held in joint ownership, but that will be demolished, which helps offset the building coverage increase of the structure. The house is located on the left side of the lot, as I mentioned earlier, which puts open space on the adjoining lot. It has 2 driveways on the other side, on the right side, which also leaves a lot of effectively leaves open space, so there's no concern about light and air. One thing that was mentioned during the discussion, which is not obvious from looking at it, is the steepness of the interior stairs, which makes the house probably not compliant officially with current code requirements, also makes it difficult for living for the applicant. Because of these special conditions, there's no fair and substantial relationship between the purposes of the ordinance and specific application to this property.
Okay. Anything for your second, Mr. Rossi?
Just noting that despite the undersized nature of the lot for the zone, the requested relief for lot coverage does not pose a problem for left, right, or rear side setbacks. And I believe that's a condition that is related to the hardship and the unique aspects of the property that allow this variance to move forward.
Okay. So do you accept that
Yes.
second? Okay. All right. So with that, any discussions on the motion? Mr. Ram?
Yeah, I'll be supporting the motion. I think it's also worth pointing out that, as has been noted, that garage will be demolished. But in addition to that, the applicant is really reusing some existing footprint that already has a structure that's above 18 inches on it. Essentially, the space is being taken, the applicant's not asking for that and something new. They're really asking just to convert that space into a slightly taller one-story addition, but very modest in size, very modest in purpose. So with that, I think the request should be approved.
Any other comments? All right. So with that, I'll call the question. The motion is to approve the variance as presented and advertised, and I will start with Mr. Nees.
Yes.
Oops, my pen went. And it's still going. Thank you, Ben. All right. And Mr. Rayo.
Yes.
Mr. Rossi.
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan.
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. You are approved. Thank you very much. Okay. So that brings to an end the July 21st, 2026 Zoning Board of Adjustment meeting. I'm sorry, sir, is there a reason you're here tonight for any application? Okay, all right, all right.
Then you definitely want to come in August.
Yeah,
We'll see the process that night.
yeah, you will.
That's not what I was planning to see. I was seeing a lot last
Okay.
fall,
All right. Just want to make sure, because there's no other applications being heard. So with that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 We are adjourned.